Okay, so it's unlikely you'll get this one first go. Sometimes you can get lucky, but nearly always you've got to trim it because there's so many surfaces fitting together, all of these surfaces, those two edges and these two edges fitting together. There's a lot there to happen. It's not going to go in first go. I could force it in, but you know what's going to happen if I do. As I wedge that further down, these two sides will flare out and then chink, it'll crack down the middle there. Make sure when you're fitting it that you're keeping them right sides around. Won't go in, and I can see why. It's that piece of material just there. So that was expected. So when I cut it earlier, I cut it fairly roughly, knowing that I was going to have to clean it up. So get rid of that little step there, chisel, tools out of the way. Not a bad idea to to support your work, so it's not bouncing everywhere. This is the one with the knot in it, so it's going to get a bit harder at that point. Marking knife or chisel up at an angle, doesn't matter, as long as you've got your hands out of the way, whatever you're most comfortable with. And I can see this side is going to fit too. That's where that snarly knot is. Knots look great when they're all polished up and stuff, but they're a complex thing to work with because the grain's pretty much at 90 degrees to the timber. It's generally very waxy and it's also very dense. Looks dangerous, but I'm just doing little cuts, so the chances of me slipping and hurting that is all but negligible. Okay, pretty tidy. Sides that go together are those two, like that. Now you can see that it's wedging it open. So that means one of these sides has got to come off. It's on its way. There you go. That side's flat, that side's got a hump, so this is the side that needs to be pulled off, or planed off. The correct word is paring. It needs to be pared off. You pare with a chisel. Don't know how you spell it. And it's probably, yeah, that line there. Well, I'm going to get in trouble doing that, so give up. Do what I don't like doing, which is put a clamp on it. Bit of wood to protect it if you feel you must. The other way would be put in the vise, but I think I want to do this a little bit more delicately. Okay, so I want to take that back to there, back to there. There is a little plane you can buy called a shoulder plane, which does this sort of work, but we haven't got one. We do, however, have a little block plane. I'd rather use the chisel myself, but the block plane can also take some of the surface off. Thing is, when you go past this edge though, you know it's going to splinter out. So if you've got to come back from that edge, it does work, but chisels are where you learn how to cut timber. You get good at chiseling, you get good at everything else. Like I say to you guys, once you've got these skills, you've got them forever. Lest you forget. Okay, give that a test run. But like all skills, you need to use them to get them to become polished and high quality. How are we going there? You can still see it opening up. I'm tempted to force it down, staying flat, jumping up still. More needs to come off this side at around the middle. So that would be in that area there. Oh, how will that work? That might work. Yeah, I can see the problem. It's that piece of timber leading up to the knot. And you can see as I'm chiseling, that's chunking past it. It's not really wanting to cut it. For cranky timber like this knot, you need a very, very sharp chisel and a reasonably large amount of force. Of course, when you're making them by machine, it's not an issue. The blade does all the work for you. Those two together, yep. going a bit further this time, but I know if I push it too far, we're going to get the same issue. Yep, more's got to come off. We're open here. There's a bit of a material just there that needs to come off in the centre again. So that time I didn't take enough off. I think I need to come back. Bit of danger here, see that? Yeah, so I won't do that. Always watching. Every time you pick up a chisel, do a risk assessment. Where is my fingers? How likely am I to stab myself? If I do, how bad's the injury going to be? Here I'm going at a bit of an angle, so it slices rather than chops. And I want to take that, get a hollow in the middle there. I don't mind, the bigger the joint, the looser you can make it, so to speak. So if there's a bit of a hollow in the middle, that's okay, it's somewhere for glue to live, provided the edges look nice and tidy. Those two sides go together like that. Getting there. A little bit off this side. That side's pretty good size. This side, because you can see that's flat there. A little bit off here, so I'll take a bit off the back edge. Oops. And probably that saw line there is what's causing me trouble. Will I be able to do this? Now, looks dangerous, and it sort of is, but I'm only doing a little trim. And I've got the brakes on, and I'm pushing down, so there's virtually no chance of me slipping over the top of the wood. That stops there, over the top of the wood and going all the way up to my hand. So, risk assessment. Can I cut myself? Yes. How bad will it be? Virtually nothing. What is the likelihood of it happening? Almost impossible to do. So I'm willing to take that risk. If you're not, put a clamp on it. However, when you take a risk, sometimes you hurt yourself. Come on, baby. You can do it. Just getting close. I'm tapping it to the wood, to the stop line. I'm not hitting it this way. If I hit it that way, as I say, I can see it flaring out, it'll crack. So it looks like I need to take more off this edge, the overall thickness of it. Oh, gee. A little bit time consuming, but it works. Okay, that side. The overall thickness, that's right. Is that going to sit still? No, it's not going to sit still. So I probably need to take a 0.5 millimetre off that entire surface. Good time to use the plane, the block plane. Use the block plane if you're using large timber. It's pretty hard to do this on wood that's 30mm thick. A little bit more blade. Now that only does this area, it doesn't do down there, and I didn't take much off. That plane seems to be a wee bit blunt. Oh, plus there's a knot there. I wonder if that's got it. Like I say, if you get this bit good, you'll be able to use it when you're doing the mortise and tenon joint. Still a little bit high there. So I think I want to just tap that up a bit. This is where I'm at risk of splitting it. Shouldn't go any further. Tap it down a bit. Now, we're going for square. Pretty good. A little bit open, so I can swing that around. Oh, shouldn't have done that. I dented the corner. Oh, too much. Oops. Pretty good. Reasonably flat. Reasonably flat. I'll stop at that because it's taking too long. But this part, you can see that there's like a millimetre just there. That's what needs to come off this inside face, and then it'll be Jim dandy. A little bit of a gap through there. I could probably clean that corner up more. I think that corner just there needs cleaning up, and that would help it sit down a little bit. And that's putting it back in the mortise board and running the vice down, the chisel down there. That side's nice and tidy, faces together. Yeah, look, that's close enough for now. I reckon a little bit more work on it and I'll get an A out of it, and it's a nice snug job.